suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet.
I was spotting down the firing range for several shooters when all of a sudden I saw a large, hairy creature walking from right to left.
We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there's some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Encounter Brigade, welcome to the team.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is our third episode of the Encounter Brigade, and this evening we're going to be continuing on part 2 of Jonny Twobears' research and encounters and all the strange happenings that goes on around his area. It's very interesting story that we've heard from him so far, and even in the last several weeks that we've had off. He's been out doing some field research in these areas. You can check out some of the posts that he's made on Facebook, on the Encounter Brigade, as well as on the Jonny Twobears Facebook page. Really good stuff. So Johnny's back, Angie's back, everyone's here. Hey, Angie.
Hey.
Alrighty. So,
everybody have a good 4th?
Did.
I did.
Yep.
I did.
So I'm back out here in San Antonio, Texas. Left Georgia on Friday. Came back here to the Center for the Intrepid, getting my second prosthetic made, and so I'm kind of looking forward to it. So after I get everything kind of up and going with it, we'll do some little show and tell with it. Kind of let you guys know.
You gotta tell about the canoe trip too. You can't leave that out.
Yeah. So I went yesterday on my very first canoe trip on the Guadalupe River, which is here north of San Antonio. We were actually in a pretty remote part of the river where not a lot of the party people go to canoe or raft or whatnot, and we spent a good bit of most of all the afternoon on the water. Didn't see another soul, but the rock formations and cliffs along the route were pretty amazing because there's some caves in this area, and the whole time I'm sitting here looking up these canyons and wondering what's
looking for
back.
Bigfoot the whole time.
Yeah, wondering what's looking back at me.
I know. I do that driving down the road now. Exactly.
Just wondering, by chance, am I going to see something on the side of the river? It seems like, a lot of the stories, the reports that I see, it's always like, someone sees them along the river. They're scooping up something in the water, or I don't know, just there.
Drinking water.
Waterways are like one of the biggest sighting spots there is. Creeks, rivers, lakes.
Yeah. Or I guess like our friends down in Florida, they've got a lot of swamp lands and places for things to hide out in. So and I think
go
ahead.
I was gonna say a couple weeks ago I was on vacation and I was in Florida, and I got up with Matt Larson from Central Florida Bigfoot and a couple other people, and we went out, and man, I'm jealous because Florida's just you go to some of these we went to the Green Swamp, and you walk in 15 feet and you're in the jungle. It's great. I love it down there. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. I years ago I did some firearms training for a group just outside of the area where the villages are at. So we're using a range that the folks from Spike's Tactical Firearms and whatnot have used, and when it was time for me to depart, I could either drive from the Orlando area back east to the interstate, or just kind of cut up, through this part of Central Florida. And so I was telling the guy that I said, "Oh, I'm going to go through the scenic route." And he goes, "Oh man, there's a lot of Bigfoots up in there." So I said, "Well, that's where I'm going."
Yes.
You know. So yeah, but it is funny because I mean, the guy was like a law enforcement dude, So I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Hey.
Yeah. All right. So Johnny, I mean, we left off with you because I mean, obviously your research spanning from 2012 when you started getting into this, and obviously can't be covered in just an hour, and plus your continued investigations. The other day, I think it was last night, you posted a good video about the stick implanted in the ground and an arch and straight line dots on a map. I mean, it's just straight lines on a map. To me, that's not a random thing. But I mean, you can expand on that later, so or whenever you want. But I mean,
yeah, I'll definitely. That's what I'm going to kind of go over tonight. Is kind of how everything went from here, and then I've expanded it out.
Okay.
Basically, we let's see, where did I leave off? Pretty much around where I'm going to start is I'm going to backpedal a little bit to the night of the growl, and basically, I am still in the process of learning this StreamYard and screen sharing. But what I'm going to try to do is share some of the actual evidence that I've gathered, and I've got audio and some pictures of the structures and stuff like that. But so the night of the growl that I talked about, after that, I left the peanut butter, and that got taken. And then I told everybody about the 3 rocks that were laid over the trail. And later on, I found the 3 rocks in the chicken coop. Shortly after that, and I told you that I kind of felt like I had messed up, that basically I had been too aggressive. And not only that night was just, all that together was just confirmation. So I kind of switched gears and I decided, all right, well, I'm going to try to communicate. And I don't know what level they communicate on, what they understand or whatever. But what I did is probably about 80 yards from where all the growling and stuff happened, I found a stump. And on this stump, I laid down some pine boughs, and I put down some rocks, and I had to count them. I can't remember if I added animals or not, but I added a rock for every member of our family, and then a stick on top of that pointing to my house. Well, I came back maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and the rocks had been moved. They'd been separated out. It's like maybe 3 on one side and 2 on the other. A very large tree, or small tree, but large stick, about this big around, and I'm going to show the pictures, was added on top of this stump. And then the stick that I had pointing to my house was now laying on top of this big stick, like it was pointing to it. So I followed it. I just walked straight from where this big stick was pointing. And I don't know, maybe about 60 yards away, 50, 60 yards away, I came to a stump that's about 3 feet tall. And on top of that stump, there was a jawbone from some animal and a turtle shell sitting on top of the stump. I don't know what that means, or if it's all coincidence or whatever, but I had physically touched both of those items previously. The jawbone was in the area, the little pine. It's a bunch of pine saplings. It's a pine bed, and it's right behind my neighbor's house where the growl happened and everything. And there's that 10-foot circle I told you about where it's got the pine straw and everything. And that's where I've been finding all the animal bones. Well, that jawbone was one of the bones that I had found back there before. The turtle shell my son had found a couple months before that when we were down at the creek. And he found it, and we were going to walk around some more. And I said, well, just leave it right here. And then you don't have to carry it around. And then on our way back out, you can pick it back up. And he's like, all right. Well, on our way back out, we couldn't find it anywhere. But it was just odd that him and I both had touched these two pieces of animal bones, and found them lined up. But here, let me see if I can bring up the pictures really quick.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Something picked up both those items and placed them, in a location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close together, like Andrew said, So, they moved a stick that you had pointed at your house, and
all
right.
I don't think this is the right. That's just going to get really confusing. It looks like. Hold on. Maybe not. What do you guys see right now?
I see your Facebook page. Yep.
Just the Facebook page?
Yes.
Okay. So it's legible, so you guys can see.
Yep.
You can see it very well.
Yeah, you're scrolling right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're good to go. Well, I can't see what I'm doing, but as long as you guys can see it and it's clear, that's what's important.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and brought my Facebook page up. That way I would have these pictures ready, and we'll go through like this. It's a little bit of trial and error. Anyway, so this is the original. This is what I left. And you see these rocks all lined up nice and pretty. And there's my pointing stick, and that's pointed towards my house.
Okay.
Well, when I came back,
No.
this is what's laying here, is this big, huge stick, and then my pointing stick now laying on top of that one.
Oh. On
So
top
I
of that.
followed it, all right? And this is the stump that I came to. And there's the turtle shell and the jawbone of another animal. Which is just, it's just one of those things I'll never know, but it,
Now, that turtle shell and the jawbone were inside that stump, or just,
yeah,
or
they were both sitting up in that stump together. And I picked it up and had some ants on the bottom of it, and I flipped it over and threw it on the ground. But yeah, man, and we actually kept, my son was a little upset that we lost it on the way back out, and there it is, same exact one. So I brought it home and bleached it out. Chris Reinhardt, this guy I've been talking to, and he actually showed me a picture of the same thing that happened in a buddy of his, but it was a turtle shell, and then it had two little bitty moles that were left inside of it, like it was gifting it. So anyway, we kept it. I don't know what it means. I don't know. I left some other items out there, try to do some gifting stuff. Nothing ever happened. And then my old neighbors wound up moving out, and new ones moved in, and I lost access to that area. But that's just one of the weird things that's happened there. And I want to go ahead and show. I'll tell one more story, and then I'll start showing some of these videos.
I got a question, Johnny.
Go ahead.
How much time was it from when you originally found the turtle shell until you found it on the stump?
Months. I think it was summertime whenever we found it first time, and then it was winter.
And there was something particular about that shell that you sure it was the same one?
Yeah, it was the same. I just remembered it because it was old. Number one, we could tell. I don't know.
Mhm.
I just know it was the same one
Yeah.
just by looking at it and just how old it was and everything.
Mhm.
But I don't know what that means. Go ahead and show this too. Hold on. All right, y'all seeing my Facebook page?
We are.
Okay. Let me go ahead and show I told y'all about the rocks that were left across the trail. And some of the stuff I've already posted a while ago. But let's see if it's in. Give people a better idea. Oh, my photos here. I've shared a lot of these photos already. But you can go ahead and look. You see all these? These are the, Joe, you asked about when I was talking about structures. What am I talking about exactly?
Yeah.
These are some of the structures. And what you were talking about earlier and what I've been working on is what I've noticed is these structures are all starting from the back of my house, going for 1.5 miles to the management area. On the top of the hill is where these structures wind up being. And I don't know why that is, but it seems like it makes sense to me tactically why they would use the top of the hill. But this is the 3 rocks that was left across the trail. The night I got growled at. Well, if you go past these rocks and keep going straight for about 20 feet, to the left is where the bedding area is, where I had been finding the bones. So after I got growled at that night, that week or maybe the next week, I came back out there to look around again, and these 3 rocks. And at this time, nobody's living there. Nobody's living on this property. Everybody's moved out. This is in between the old neighbors and the new neighbors. So I walk back there, and there's these 3 rocks sitting across the trail. And I'm like, man, where in the world did those come from? So then, about a week later, and this is in the pine bed. This is in the pine thicket. This is from a video I took. And this is the area that looks like a bed. This is just one set of bones that I found. These are large bones. They look like they were maybe from a deer, like the spinal column of a deer. But that's just some of the bones that I found in that area. This is a picture of, these are the 3 rocks that were left in the chicken coop, which are in the same order as the other 3 rocks. And my wife actually found those. And that was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I found the other set of 3 rocks. So basically, the next big event that happened, and I used to have a video on that, but I don't anymore. The next, things kind of changed. Things got a little more frequent, and it's kind of hard to describe, but 9 times out of 10, basically, it's just a noise. Something gets thrown, or the dogs go nuts, and I figure out, all right, something's around. Well, one night, and this is after the growl and the rock throwing and all that, several months later, I'm sitting outside on the porch, and in that same corner of my yard, where my gate is, where I go out, I've got trash cans out there. You go past the trash cans, and then that's the area where the pine thicket is. Well, I'm sitting out on the porch, and I hear bang, bang, bang. I grab a flashlight, I walk out there, and one of my trash cans is laying on its side, and then another big piece of board. I've got plywood up from where a tree fell on the side of my fence. It messed up somehow, so I put this big piece of plywood up until I fixed it. Well, that was laying down, and I'm like, man, what in the world? So something just knocked my trash can down and knocked down this big piece of wood. So I go and I'm kind of wanting to I want to check things out, but I want to have a reason to. I don't want to be real obvious. So I go and get the trash from the house, and I bring it out there, and I put it in the can, close the gate, and a rock hits behind me in the yard. And I'm like, wait a second. So I turn around and look, and I'm looking around, and I don't see anything. I don't have a flashlight. I've gotten to where now about half the time I don't use a flashlight. Because sometimes I'm trying to get proof, and then other times I don't want to scare them off. So some nights I don't even use a flashlight. And this was one of those nights. So I'm standing there, and I'm like, well, I don't really know if maybe that's an acorn or something. Well, something hits my gate. Ding. Bounces off the gate. And it was obviously a rock. So I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. So I pick up a rock, and I hold it up. I'm like, all right, can you do this? And I throw it, and I hit the gate. And it goes ding. I'll walk around for a little bit. I'm standing around, and then ding, they throw a rock. Somebody throws a rock, and it hits the gate. And I have a video of this, and I put it up a while back, and it was on the other page that we all came from. But it's a crappy video because you don't see anything. All you do is hear audio. And I set my phone up. I had a coffee cup, and I've got one of those work benches outside. I was working on something, little metal step stool thing. So I set it down. I had my coffee cup, and I had my phone leaning up against it. And I'm throwing rocks, and I'm hearing stuff behind me fall, whatever. And I even say in this video, I'm like, man, I really feel like somebody's messing with me because this is just so obvious that something's out here. Well, right after I say that, there's 2 wood knocks, and then I hear a roar, like some kind of yell. And all this is on the video, and maybe one day I can get the sound amplified or whatever. It's a crappy video, that's why I'm not showing it. You can't hear much. But this is all happening on video. You can't see anything, but you can hear it. You hear me laughing, you hear me talking about it the whole 9 yards. So after the wood knocks and the yells, that's pretty much all that happens. So I go and sit down on the porch, and I'm waiting, and I'm going through the video, listening to it, trying to see how much of it you can hear. And this is one of the really, really weird things, and stuff like this kind of happens all the time, and I don't know how to explain it. I had been sitting there for about an hour waiting on something else to happen and listening. I had the headphones on, listening to the recording. And I get done, and I'm like, man, I just really don't know. You know, it's so obvious, but I don't know. And I take my headphones off, and something pushes my gate where I had just been, you know, an hour before. It pushed it so hard that it broke I've got a big metal gate with a wheel on the bottom of it that goes back and forth. You know, it rolls. And then on the side of that, I made another wooden gate. That way when big trucks come back here, I can open both of them up. Well, it pushed it so hard that it broke the 2x4 that's in the wooden gate. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with stuff like that. You know, with me having this conversation in my head that I really don't know if it is what it is, and I take my headphones off, and then they push this gate. You know, of course, I didn't see them do it, but this is the kind of stuff that goes on all the time. Just little weird things like this. But let's see. That's one of the biggest events. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show. This is kind of the put up or shut up moment where, and I've already posted them, but we're going to do I'm going to go over these videos of the audio that we've gotten, or that I've gotten, and I'll explain it. I'm going to go to our YouTube channel. You guys seeing YouTube come up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Now I'm going to crank my volume up. So hopefully it comes through a little better. And the night I was growled at, and in the pine thicket, and then the night I was growled at in my truck. Well, this is the third time I was growled at, and I actually captured this, and this was a couple weeks ago. And what had happened is I was sitting on the front porch. It sounded like something slapped or grabbed the tarp on my chicken coop. Just one obvious noise. And I get up. It only takes me about 30 seconds to get down there. And I'm standing there. My dog comes down, and she kind of goes to the right. You'll see in the video. And then I'm looking around. I don't really see anything. I heard a little bit of something, but not much. And I just say, hello. Right after I say hello is when this thing growls. And to me, I think I don't know whether it's mad at the dog, because the dog she didn't even really have a real good lock on the dog, on where this thing was. She was sniffing around and looking, but she wasn't barking yet. So I don't know. There was no reason for this thing to give up its position. So for whatever reason, this growling thing that he does, he likes to do it. He or she likes to let me know that it's around. So anyway, this is recent. Time. Right after I say hello. Let it play through all the way.
So what we can do too is after this, we can repost the video link for this growl, and then also your other videos too, Johnny, because I think it's a lot easier to hear with like headphones on,
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier with the headphones. And I used on my phone, I got an app that does boost the volume, but then you got to pay for it to use it more than once. But I mean, it's obvious. Once you get the headphones on and you turn the volume up, you can hear it really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've heard this growl 3 different times, and that's pretty much the last big thing that happened around here, and that was from a couple weeks ago.
So I remember. Yep, I remember you sharing that several weeks ago and listening to it and whatnot. And so I'm I keep remembering that you have three grown purebred German shepherds, and
Right.
a German shepherd growling at you is one thing, right? I mean, it's enough for anyone to take notice. That's why the military uses them. That's why the law enforcement uses them. That's why people who want security dogs pick German shepherds. So do you think the volume, the intensity of whatever is growling at you in the darkness there around your place, uh, obviously larger than your dog, your shepherds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no.
So it's got some
There's
air.
no comparison. Where
Yeah.
it was coming from and where my dog was, we're talking about 30, 40 yards around to the other corner of the house.
Mm.
And it's really hard to tell with the video.
Yeah.
But when you hear it up close, like I have, where it's 30, 40 feet away, it's unmistakable. It's nothing that I've ever heard on this planet, except in movies.
Yeah.
Some crazy movie or whatever. There's no, I don't know, man. It's and it's really hard to tell. I did have a guy the other day say he put it on. No, that's actually this one. All right, listen to this one. Now this, at the end, I've heard this sound, this cry. I call it a war cry. This happens about once every 3 or 4 months, and they always do the call in a series of 3 calls, and you'll understand better when I play it.
Okay.
But it literally sounds like there is a Native American war party about to burn my house down, with a little bit of chimp added. But at the cry, the one I captured one of the 3 calls. So it's at the very end. You'll hear some dogs, some coyotes, and then at the very end you'll hear what I'm talking about. So here we go. So that is what I call the war cry, and that one will.
I couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear it?
Mm-mm. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. I think Angie, what we'll do, we'll make sure we post.
Could you hear it, Joe?
Just for faint. I mean, I have to turn my sound all the way up and kind of cup my ears. But I mean, we'll put the links up, because once people can play it back on their own and hear it a lot better,
right.
rather than us trying to hear it through your system. But so, I mean,
I think what we need to do too is probably mute everybody's mics when I do this, because it's picking up 3 different sets of audio.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one then, but I'm going to play through it and kind of explain it that way when people listen to it later. Basically, what happened is one of these nights that I felt like activity was happening. This was actually shortly after. I think I actually ran through the woods trying to go after whatever it was that evening, and something actually stepped on a big log or stick and broke it. Now, I never did see what it was, but it was in front of me and it was in the woods. I wasn't running, but I was trying to follow what it was. But anyway, this happened over a period of a couple days, and so this night, kind of got that feeling something was going on, so I put my GoPro out, and this is right after I wound up. I put the GoPro out, I hit play, and then I go inside. Right after I go inside, this is what happens. Let's see if you can hear it. If you guys you guys go ahead and hit your mute buttons. See if this works any better. Wait one more time. It goes, wow, what? Wow, what? Time. All right, you guys can unmute. But that's pretty much all of the vocals that I have that are really good anyway. Let me quit screen sharing.
Maybe there's some folks out there that happen to be listening to this stuff who are good at sound technicians or something like that. Maybe they can reach out to one of us and ask you to send the original link to this.
Yeah,
and maybe
if people
clean it up.
only
I know
knew,
there's ways to do that. So
if people only knew how bad I was with computers and cameras and phones, they would understand the amount of effort that I put into trying to get this stuff done.
that's why that's
I'm
why
really
you get all
good.
that's why you get all the Bigfoot action, man. I mean, they know they're like, this guy will
They know
never
I
be
suck.
able to get it.
Well, then I ought to draw a whole family in if I go in the woods.
Oh man, yeah, you know,
we
I'm
are
having to
safer-
learn all kinds of things that I don't know how to do, but
Yeah,
you know, we'll get
that's
better.
it. You know, they sit back and in a huddle somewhere, like, look, we're safe around Jonny Twobears and Angie.
Very
You
safe
know?
around me.
Yeah,
Now the other guy picked us off at 1,200 yards, through a scope. But I mean,
you got an unfair advantage.
man, but I mean, it just kind of So they do this war cry, like every couple months.
Yeah, it's probably averaging. They probably do it more than that. I just don't hear it. It's actually been loud enough to where I can hear it inside my bedroom.
Now,
And
okay.
they're several hundred yards away. That night was the closest that they had been when they'd done that cry, and I would say they're probably maybe 200 yards away.
So let me ask you this. I mean, Johnny, you have a family, wife, kids. They've heard this, obviously, right?
They have not heard the war cry.
Okay, they have not. Okay.
No, because all this stuff, my wife's in bed by 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And most all this stuff happens. I'll have to ask her stuff she remembers.
I just wonder, like she, when you're at work, I mean, she feels safe. I mean, you just, do they mess around?
There's been several nights where I get phone calls that there's something walking around. I hear something.
Okay.
And I posted this the other day. It was probably maybe 2 months ago. My brother-in-law was over here with my sister-in-law, and they were doing something with my wife over here. And I was at work, and my wife, she calls and says, "Hey, my brother said while he was leaving that you guys have something really big walking around in your woods." And I'm like, "Really?" And I told her,
Really?
"Go outside, take." I think I got her to get my audio recorder. And she did. She went out in the front yard with my sister-in-law, and like they're it's so funny because she got it turned on, but they're talking the whole time while she's recording,
Yeah.
and they're having a conversation and joking around and all this other stuff. Nothing.
Yeah.
She didn't see anything. She didn't hear anything. My brother-in-law did, and it was enough. He constantly hunts all the time, and it was enough to freak him out a little bit. He said there's something big walking around in your woods. And, so there's been other.
I wonder if because you have ventured into, well, in military term, right? You know, they're AO, right?
Right.
You frequently, venture into their AO, and
I'm gonna move
um,
my camera around a little bit because I
yeah,
know where you're going with this, and I want to
yeah,
show real quick, kind of explain what I have done and why I've done it.
yeah. So
And let me get.
you make reconnaissance trips in and out of their areas, uh, you know, area of operations. Um, I don't know if they may not see you as a threat because you don't come in there threatening, but maybe I don't know if it's a cat and mouse game or just like they reveal just a little bit more each time, or give you reason to believe, like, by placing rocks or objects in on the trails or whatnot, just kind of like, hey, we're here, you know.
Right. It's
But
gotten weird, man, and it's gotten.
okay,
First, let me start out with it's none of this, and I've said this before. None of this is rocket science. Rocket science. Basically what has happened is I just used I found the structures, and then I followed the structures in that direction, and in that direction is a management area, and I looked at the management area, and then I've got to drive. It takes me about 8 minutes to drive to it. I've got to go down one road and come around. There's a big part of private property that is in between me and the management area, but I can get to the management area from the south side or north side. I can't remember. The opposite side from my house. So basically, let's see if I can do this with the camera.
okay,
Show while I'm looking. Yeah, it's close enough.
yep,
Anyway, where my finger is my house.
yeah,
These little dots, these are structures that I've found behind my house. And I came up, drove around, and came in the management area. And basically, for the past 2 years, I have been searching this area, looking all over the place. These green circles are basically high points. And the video I did the other day is from these high points. About a year and a half ago, where this X is at this high point is where I found a bunch of structures, and I'll show the pictures of those.
okay.
You go down the hill a little bit, you come back up. There is some kind of bedding area where there's large trees that are broken down. You go down to this next, cross the creek, and go to this high point. And this is where I'm going to have to go to the story. This is the road right here that I was on.
Yeah.
Just remember this area, and I'm going to sit back down and talk about it. But I was walking down through here. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to set my camera back down. This is extremely raggedy and unprofessional, but at least get a better idea of what I am talking about. All right, so basically, I started checking this area out maybe 2 years ago. I also started hunting in there. And I figured there is also in between, there's private property and there is a rock quarry, which you hear all the time in Bigfoot stories for whatever reason. And what I've been told from a few of the outlaws, Bigfoot outlaws, that they go into these rock quarries because of salt content.
Minerals. Okay.
I guess, and minerals.
Yeah.
So that's why, I guess that's their guess. Makes sense to me, but then again, I don't know. Everybody's just guessing, but it seems to be a thing. They go into rock quarries. So we've got this management area and the rock quarries, and I've got what I found to be structures. I've also found the track. I found 3 different tracks in between here and there. I found one there, and I found 2 closer to my house. So a couple months ago, and this is where things really, really changed, where I knew I was on the right track, is when I was going down that little road. That day, I was basically just trying out Facebook Live and seeing if it would work there. So I was recording everything in front of me and just showing. I was trying to find so it's north, the northernmost border. So I was trying to get as close to my property as I could and try to figure out what was along that borderline. So I was walking around doing the Facebook Live stuff. Well, I got home and I was looking through my videos and I pulled one up, and it's one from behind me. And the weird part about this is I don't remember taking the video. I don't know why I took it. I don't know if I felt something or it was just random or whatever, but it was less than a minute. I think it's 53 or 54 seconds where I just videoed behind me. Well, I looked at it and I was looking kind of on the edge of the woods and stuff and kind of seeing stuff. And I'm like, nah, that's nothing, whatever. The next day, I look at it a little more. And right in the middle of the freaking road, as far down as you can see, it looks like at least two of these creatures crossing. They go into the middle of the road and stop. The camera kind of goes out of view a little bit because I'm walking and I don't have a gimbal. And it comes back and one of them goes back to where they came from. It looks like he's coming towards me. The biggest one, it's completely gone. So I'm shocked. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got this. And they are blob squatches. But it took me about 3 months because I didn't know where I was at in the road at all to find that spot again. And then once I did find it by comparing the trees and everything else, I found the exact spot and I did a comparison. And that's the last thing I'm going to screen share with on my Facebook page. But what you're going to see is screenshots from the original video to where I think I captured these creatures. It's 100. I measured it with my rangefinder. It's 165 yards behind me is where they cross the road. So it's 165 yards away. I'm 196, about 5'10" and a half. So what I did was I found the same spot and I shot a video where I walked down to where they crossed the road at. And I kind of got in the same positions. And that way you will be able to compare the size between me and them. So I'm going to switch back and do screen sharing one more time, even though it's... Let's see.
I guess that's one of those things I've always heard or seen from other YouTube investigators, and people always, keep a camera on you looking behind you, right?
Yeah, and after this is when that's how I got a hold of Matt Larson, because he is a professional cameraman, and I knew if I would have had a better camera that day instead of just using my cell phone, that this probably would have been really, really impressive. Now, it's good for me. I'm pretty impressed by it, but it's not going to convince somebody who I don't know and that has no reason to trust me. I understand, it is what it is. But I think people that know me and myself, to me, it is what it is.
It's amazing to me. I was blown away, but I know you.
Right.
I know you're not going to hoax something.
Right. And I understand that it's not, it's not Patty, but
no, but to me, it's just so obvious that it's squatted down with its arms outstretched. But it's not clear enough to convince somebody that doesn't know you, but
right.
It amazed me that you captured that.
I'm trying to I made a post with it all. All right, this is one shot. Well, I've got all of them together somewhere. Let's see, that's my dump that I did where it was a bunch of evidence, but I did a post. And trust me, we'll get better at this, and I'll be able to, we'll all get a little better at this stuff, but just have to bear with me for now, because I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got it in here.
Yeah, if anybody's on Facebook, you guys can find our group. It's called the Encounter Brigade Podcast. He posts all these pictures and stuff in our Facebook group too.
Yeah, everything that I do, now this should be it. This is the post. All right, now this is the first. Well, that doesn't make it any bigger. Anyway, this, what it looks like to me is he is on all fours. You can even see his right leg behind him, and you'll see in these other pictures. This looks like his right arm and his head. There's another one that looks like he's over here behind him. I almost want to say there's 3 of them, but it's very hard to tell. I can't claim that. It's just what it looks like to me.
Kind of like they got down to the spider crawl.
Right, and there's me in the same position. I'm actually zoomed in on myself a little more on this one than I think I was on them. So there he is. There they are. And I'm in the same exact spot on the road. So they are as big as me, if not a little bigger. They are not smaller than me. There's just no, that's a backpack over here to my left. But that's pretty much what this is from the original video. And this is just a screenshot. And you can see it's right down as far as you can see down the road is where they cross. There's me again in the same position. And in between 2 of these, you can look right here and you can actually see the arm bend. It's straight at one point and then it bends again. I've actually got better pictures of it on.
I mean, it's amazing that you even got those. I mean, it's just the random
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
thing taking
another
a picture
part
behind
that's just, it's so crazy that, all right, here's most of them. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with the arm bend.
Well, when you look at these pictures on your phone and you can actually like zoom in on them yourself and stuff, you can
Right.
really see the detail a lot more than what you can see right now.
Can you see my arrow?
Yeah, I mean, I see the
Okay.
arm and his head. I mean, to me,
Yeah.
I just see that
It
clear
looks
as
like his
day.
head. You can see his right leg, his knees bent. You can even see the shadow underneath him. You know, and that's what I did all the comparison pictures. There is nothing out there that you can mistake for this. There's just nothing in the road that's actually the camera I bought because of this happening. But you can see I'm real good in that one. And all this is kind of in reverse. Whenever you can see his arm bent right here. Let's see if you can. There we go. Let's do it again. Oh yeah. See his arm elbow, whatever that is, it's bent.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But these are, this is obviously a living, breathing thing. This is near the end of the video where they split up. And now watch this little guy. You can see the position of the arm right there.
Mm-hmm. He's standing up, walking off.
Now, you go to this one. Look at the position of the arm there. It's moved. It's no longer sticking out. So basically, it's one frame to a next, and there's arm swing. At this point, they've already split up and gone their separate ways. And I don't know what this. Can you see my arrow?
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I would have had a better camera, because I don't know if there's something going on here, whether this is the big one running towards or whatever. I don't know. But there's a lot of weird stuff going on in there. Anyway, that's what. So we're running out of time here. But anyway, this just happened a couple months ago. This happened. I found the video. I went through it, blah, blah, blah. It took me almost 3 months to find the area again. I went back and I did the video looking, doing the comparison shots and everything. And I also put this video up on my way out. I was done doing the comparison shot. On my way out, let me quit. Stop screen. So I went in there, I did the comparison shot, did the video, blah, blah, blah. I'm done. I'm walking out, and about 100 yards away, on my way out, where the road, it kind of makes an L. And there's a creek right there at the L. Well, right before I get there, I notice a stack of rocks on the side of the road. A big, obvious, it's one big rock with a bunch of little rocks on top of it. And I had never seen it before. And I had stuck my phone. It was on my selfie stick, and it was like this. I just mainly had it to record any kind of audio that happened. And I'm walking out like this, and you can see me walking, and I stop to look down at the rock stack. Well, something jumps out of a tree, 30, 40 yards maybe, into the tree line. So they're up in a tree, something very large. It jumps out, and I hear it hit the ground. And it's right where I stopped to look at this rock stack. I mean, it's almost like, it's like they're intentionally trying to get me to look at this. I mean, it was just so obvious, And then again, I didn't see what jumped out of the tree, but it was very large, and it's on video. And I actually did increase the volume on that one, and I posted it. You can hear it plain as day jumping out of the tree. So I went up one of those little circles on my board there is where I found another one of the largest, what looks like a structure to me. I found that the other day because I'm like, all right, well, this is 2 different times where I've had activity during the day on this road. They crossed the road behind me, and I just had something jump out of a tree. So what's going on? And I went up all the way up the top of the hill, and there's that big, huge structure. So that's where I'm at now. There's been other things that I've got hunting property. If you think of that's what this little diagram is right here. If you think of a J, my house would be here, the management area would be here, and the hunting property I bought was right here. And I actually bought this property because I was looking, I was buying hunting property anyway, but I actually bought this property because I found a Bigfoot track on it. So out of all the properties that I found that I looked at, I literally bought this one because I found a Bigfoot track in the middle of the swamp.
Wow.
Just out there.
Did you get a deal on it, though?
Actually, I got a really good deal on it. I got a really good deal on it.
I mean, if you told them the place is squatchy,
No, I didn't tell them. I didn't share. And no, honestly, since then, I found the first one. In fact, on the Encounter Brigade episodes, you've got the footprint with I got the red circle around it. That's that track. That's from my hunting property.
wow.
And it's it was perfect, but it was one track right in the middle of the swamp. And I was walking around checking the property out, and I saw that, and I'm like,
Here's
I'm
my
probably
time.
gonna buy this one. So anyway, I found more tracks. We'll talk about that later. We're at about an hour, but you know, I've got stuff going on there too, and I've got recordings and structures, and my hunting blind has been marked with a stick in front of it. So it's not like it's real far away from where I live. It is driving wise, but you know, as a crow flies, all this stuff is all relatively close together. Anyway, that's pretty much.
Man, it's fascinating.
That's pretty much everything right now.
Yeah.
But you guys want to talk about? I know we got a few guests that are coming up. We've got some people that have been coming forward. Angie, you want to give just a brief summary of the ranger we got?
Sure. We have a for our first guest next week, park ranger. He's going to tell about his encounter that he actually had, I think, when he was about 12 or 13. It was a really good encounter. He's got some good little stories around that. And then he works in the Pine Mountain area now, and there's been some strange things happening around there. He's going to share those with us, and I don't want to give too much away.
No.
But I really enjoyed talking to him. It was very interesting and very exciting. So hopefully next week we'll have him on.
All right. Sounds good.
Good deal.
It's always good to have that's like the best of the best right there. We got a park forest ranger that's willing to come forward. That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And Angie, you probably took some reports with them, right?
I did.
For your database type style. Okay.
And once we air, the show with him, then I'll post it on our Facebook so people can go in and read it and stuff.
Outstanding.
Outstanding.
Well, Jonny, man, it was good to hear the rest of all of your story and encounter investigations. It's just the weird happenings. You know what's amazing that you have both nighttime and daytime activity there.
The daytime stuff doesn't happen a lot around my property. It has. Most of it's been back there in the management area, and I think that's what's going on. Is they probably hang out there during the day, and then at night, for whatever reason, they come and poke around my house. So
yeah, that's amazing stuff, But man, no, I think it's been a great evening talking about this again and whatnot, and look forward to next week with our guest. And as again, everyone, a lot of Jonny Twobears videos are on his Facebook page, and then also on the Encounter Brigade Facebook page as well. And just keep following on our Encounter Brigade Facebook page. So.
Well, good guys. I know it's been a long night. I know the audience doesn't know, but we practiced for about an hour before this. That's how bad we are. We gotta practice. And we still, I still didn't do a very good job with the computer stuff. But hey, you know what? We'll learn it and we'll get through it and we'll get better. Hopefully, if people
it's a process.
I did hit the intro button.
Yes.
Yeah.
The intro worked. We've had it ready before episode 1, and we just somebody has to hit the button.
We played it at the beginning and not the end this time.
Exactly. Have one job. All righty. Well, man, hey, so Angie, you're still going up to Tennessee for the convention?
Bigfoot convention, yes.
Oh man, that'll be pretty exciting. People coming out of COVID, and ought to be a pretty large crowd, so that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Yeah, good deal. All right, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Went down to Florida with a bunch of people down there.
Ah, man. All right.
Yeah.
Well.
All right, guys. Well, I had fun. Thank y'all. for listening.
Till
Thank you,
next
Johnny.
week.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.